Hi, I'm Ted Falk, Member of Parliament for Provencher. Earlier this month, in a question period, I asked a question about the Liberal government's costly carbon tax coalition. It was a pretty standard question about a singularly bad policy. But the answer I received was disturbing, and it should make every Canadian very concerned. The minister responded by proudly proclaiming he was a socialist.
I'm a Liberal and a proud socialist, Mr. Speaker.
Other Liberal ministers stood up and cheered, but I started to think about this response, and I think it begs a little further reflection. My family are Mennonites. My grandparents came to Canada after they were driven from Ukraine by the communists. Communist dictatorships have killed millions and millions of people in the past 100 years. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Socialism. Socialism is defined as a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the production, distribution, and exchange of goods should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. That sounds pretty harmless, until we realize by community they actually mean government, and until we look at where it came from, namely from a fellow called Karl Marx. Marx wrote a lot about his theory of economics, but to most people, Marx is famous for writing the Communist Manifesto. To Marx and those who bought into his ideas of a communal, atheistic utopia, socialism is the first step between the overthrow of capitalism and the realization of communism. Marx died in 1883, but a mere 34 years later, his dream was realized with the Russian Revolution and the founding of the Soviet Union. Of course, they figured out pretty quickly there was only one way to make socialism work, and that was through a massively centralized state with ultimate control lying with a single person, Vladimir Lenin. Dictators tend to be paranoid, and as communism took hold and spread, it wasn't long before people started suffering and dying, tens of millions of them. And socialism shares the same ideological heritage as communism, which inflicted untold suffering on the world. So, fast forward back to today. It's been 34 years since communism fell. That's not very long, yet clearly these liberals are ignorant of the past. To stand up and cheer socialism is to cheer against freedom, against personal privacy, and against individual merit. Maybe these liberals don't understand this, or maybe they just don't care.